So today I'm going to be talking to you about what happens when you're dating someone. Things are going great. You feel like, oh my gosh, we're totally like aligned and we're talking and have an emotional connection. But all of a sudden they freak out and you're like, what just happened? We were connecting and then they start to take a step back. And so I've been seeing this, and this has happened with me too, personally, before I met my husband, Will, and when I was dating, and I had to learn the hard way because what I would do, and maybe a lot of you would do too, is try to convince them or try to keep trying to convince them that this is worth fighting for, or there's something here, like don't just, leave, this is something special. And you have to know when to walk away. And so as great as it may be, and as, oh my gosh, this is like, I've never had anything like this. This is so beyond. If they don't want to be with you and you say to them, hey, I really want to understand like what's going on. This is where I feel like you really need to lean into the maturity, the patience, and have a conversation, because I don't want you to be like, okay, bye, fuck off. Like, I don't want you to go that route. I'd rather you, take a breath and have empathy and try to put yourself in their shoes and have that curiosity, because sometimes people can self-sabotage and they might be like, this is too good to be true. You're going to reject me. And, like deep down, they have some feelings of not being good enough or not worthy of this. And instead of them like really understanding that, having that awareness, they just might completely, screw the whole relationship up and just say, forget this. I can't, this is too scary for them. Right. And so this is where I want you to ask questions and say, hey, wait a second, things are going amazing. And all of a sudden now you're not, like, what's going on, right? And leave some space for them to share instead of you being like immediate reaction, leave. I'd rather you ask questions, have empathy, hold space for them to share. And they might be sharing with you, like, honestly, I'm scared, or I don't know, like, I've never had something like this. And then you can say, you know what, I'm scared too. I've never had anything like this either. And like, this is another reason why I'm all about going slow in terms of, especially getting physical. Like, do not rush into bed with them right away. Like, you really, because normally the freak out happens, the first few weeks, like first couple weeks, right? And so like back in the day, old Jackie, used to think, oh yeah, rushing into bed, getting physical, like that's, what I would do, thinking I had to keep them in love, right? Or get them to love me. And that never worked, right? So like with Will, I purposely waited and I was like, are we aligned? Is there an emotional connection? And we took it slow. And I do feel like this is where I tell, Will and I, in the grand scheme of things, like I know for some of you guys found out, oh yeah, he proposed on the 6-month anniversary. We knew that we were so aligned, we were fearless, right? That being said, we didn't rush into bed. And I do think that sometimes when you rush into the physical, like make out sessions, everything around sex, practically, whatever, can put the blinders on and confuse you. Okay. So if you are being intentional about dating and you are talking to someone and you guys are aligned and someone freaks out, okay, this is where, you can talk, give space, see where they're coming from. But if they have past wounds, emotional things that have happened to them that they haven't really healed, they're not a fan of therapy, they're not a fan of reading, they don't want to gain awareness of anything, they're like, I don't know, and they just don't want to know. This is when you walk away. Like, you're not going to be their therapist, you're not going to be there to help them heal. Like, this is, I'm really big on, when someone meets you where you're at, it's like, if obviously you're listening to this podcast and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because I'm all about empowering you and helping you find your person and, finding that right partner. And so you're clearly have a growth mindset. You want to learn, you want to be the best partner you can be. And so, yes, have patience when someone is trying to like completely walk away from something amazing with you. But don't stay with someone and try to convince them to love you or to be there. I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, if only they can just realize and open their eyes, like they may not be emotionally available. And this is where I challenge you. And maybe if you look back in the beginning of the relationship, and this is the power of what I do with the women I coach, it's like those questions you ask in the beginning are so important. And so, are you asking the questions to find out if they are emotionally available? This is super important. You can't just assume they are. A lot of people just assume like, oh, I guess, but if you don't ask deep questions, deep probing, open-ended questions, okay, there's going to be a lot of unanswered, who knows, you're going to find out eventually, oh, wow, shit, they're not emotionally available. Okay. So like, I really rather, instead of them, maybe blindsiding you, right? I do it in quotation marks for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple, where a lot of you think, oh my God, I was blindsided. Everything was going amazing. And all of a sudden they walked away. And I'm like, well, wait a second. In the beginning, right when you met, could you have asked certain questions to find that out? That they weren't emotionally available, that they had some trauma they haven't healed, that they aren't over their ex, that they are still dealing with all this shit, or their own insecurities. You know what I mean? And this is where I want you to take your power back. That's the goal. I don't want you to be like, I was blindsided, because that is scary. That will scare you from ever putting yourself out there. I don't want you to do that. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel excited and be like, oh, wow, that was so close. Like, I felt like that was amazing, that connection. It didn't work out. Why? And what could I do moving forward? So then I don't, I still make space to meet the right person, right? Like, I don't want you to give up and be like, oh my God, he had everything and he walked away and it's over. Like, that was the last man on earth. Like, that's the whole scarcity mindset, right? So yeah, I really truly hope you hear me on this. I feel like a lot of you are going through something like this right now. This is like the holidays are approaching, you guys. This is where I don't want you to be like, I guess I'm just going to be alone for Christmas and whatever. Like, no, I really want you to hear me. I want you to take action. I want you to be like, what can I do to show up for my love life differently? If you are entertaining someone and try, like, temporary people, like the guys that are trying to like, oh my God, I don't know, I just need time. Like, you really have to navigate that with a lot of intention. Okay, I don't want you wasting another minute with the wrong person, because then you're blocking yourself from receiving the right person. Okay, let me know in the comments, right? And I would love if you leave a review. If I know so many of you guys are actually listening to this podcast, and I appreciate you. But what would mean even more is if you left me a review. I love that. I really feel like so many people need to hear this. It would help them on their journey. So your review would actually really make a big impact on this podcast. I so appreciate you for listening. Do not settle for anything less than crazy love. I'm going to drop links below to help you if you really want to take action on your love life. I'm here for you. I have 2 spots left for my private coaching. So I'll drop a link below to my calendar if you want to have a chat and see if that's a good fit for you. And I also have self-led courses. So I'm going to drop that below too. If you guys are like, you know what, I just want to do it on my own and it's a lot more budget friendly. Give yourself that Christmas gift, a holiday gift or whatever. And like, do something different. Okay. I really want you to find that love that you deserve. I really do. So all the best. Thank you. And it has to be crazy love or nothing. Until next time.